issues that I see for Kansas are education, health care, and the economy. We need a well-educated citizenry to preserve our democratic way of life. We must have that. Education is also the key to lifting the 18% of young people under 18 who are living below the poverty line in Kansas right now. The economy is something that we must do something about. We need to bring good jobs back to this area. We can do it. We just need to make up our mind that that's what we want to do. Healthcare is an issue. It is something that we are leaving behind the poor and the elderly. And it's something that we must really address in the future. The elderly living on a fixed income cannot afford to have increases in their health care as they're having right now. Thank you.
First of all, those of you that were expecting to see Cash, I apologize. She's a lot smarter, a lot prettier than I am, but I'll do my best tonight to try to fill in for her. We see eye to eye on many, many things. For Kansas next year in the 2009 session, it's going to be pretty much about the budget. Fortunately, we don't have the type of problems that we have in Washington, D.C., because Kansas is a cash basis state. But we are facing a projected shortfall or a deficit in spending and revenues for the next fiscal year. And so we're going to have to tighten our belts, and that's going to be painful, but it's something that we need to do because our taxpayers expect us to pay the bills and not be coming back to them all the time for increased revenue. So we're going to have to tighten our belt. We need a comprehensive energy policy in the state. We missed an opportunity last year to do that. A comprehensive energy policy is not just about clean coal in western Kansas. It's about economic development. It's about bringing jobs. It's about taking care of our energy needs for the future using all sorts of energy sources, including coal, nuclear, wind, solar, what have you. And then, of course, education. We've put an unprecedented investment in education. Now we've given the schools the tools that they need. Now we need to get the outcomes and try to free up the teachers from some of the bureaucratic hurdles we put in their way with the federal No Child Left Behind.
We need to make sure that we are providing health care for all citizens. There are 350,000 Kansans today that have no health insurance. That must be addressed. These people depend entirely upon emergency rooms when they're sick, and that's putting a strain on our hospitals and emergency rooms. This must be addressed. It can only be addressed by the state and federal, and it is something that we as a legislature must address in the next session.
Well, breaking down some of the barriers to health care for a lot of individuals, it's been mentioned that we have a good number of uninsured in Kansas. It's about 11.3%, with about 60% of those individuals who are uninsured being uninsured by choice. That is, they're young individuals, they're families that have the head of the household with insurance that they have through their work, but they choose not to have the family health coverage. We need to provide market incentives. This is not a governmental solution. Universal health care or things of socialized medicine, that's something we don't need. But we need to put incentives in the system to allow employers to be able to afford to offer these plans to these families who are using their disposable income not to pick up their family, the rest of their family, but choosing it to pay other types of bills. And so there are things that we can do to incent the private sector to make insurance available, and we need to do a better job of that.
having spent 40 years in public education, I support it tremendously. It afforded me the opportunity to be where I'm at today. Without public education, I don't know where we would all be. We must support public education. It is the vehicle where we can bring people out of poverty. 1 in 6 Kansans live below the poverty line today. Education is the key to bringing those people out of poverty. So I support education tremendously. It is something that is one of my top priorities.
It is a fundamental responsibility of the state to make an appropriate provision for the financing of the educational interests of the state. That's almost a direct quote out of the Constitution. And the legislature has done that very well and have made unprecedented investments in education over the years. The concern I have, and I think where we're missing some opportunities, is we are not doing enough to let our teachers teach. We have such a bureaucratic level of impediment to the classroom teacher to get unique and innovative teaching instruction to some students. A lot of students in this room probably are not challenged enough because of some of the standardized assessments that take up a lot of time. And so I think we need to do what we can at the state level to break down some of the bureaucratic barriers and let teachers teach. Let teachers get compensated as professionals at a higher rate, and that may be innovative things like performance-based income and salaries. We need to keep the bright minds in our classroom challenged so that we don't have just a cookie-cutter approach that every curriculum, every classroom has to be the same from county to county and district to district.